In today's video, we're going to be lowering the hard body a little bit more. I don't know exactly how much, so I'm going to quickly have to measure that up, and once I do the whole entire process, I'll be able to tell you guys the exact amount that it's dropping. But I want to say, on the safe side, it's going to drop at least an inch, so it should fix the rake issue that I have right now, because my front end is a little bit lower than the rear, and I want it to be kind of level. So what I'm going to be doing is monoleafing it. For those of you who don't know what that is, essentially you just removed the middle leaf and then you put it all back together and you call it a day. So these brackets right here hold the middle leaf to this upper leaf, and that's why I hold it tight the way it is. But when you remove that middle leaf, it kind of weakens the leaves up a little bit and it squats, therefore being lower, and it's free. So that's just why I'm doing this method. I already have 4-inch blocks. So yeah. Alright, so I got the blocks out and I'm having a little trouble because I'm working by myself. Take the little dowel pin that's sticking out. It's like a little bolt that's kind of sandwiching all of the leaves together. So when I try jacking it up, it puts a really bad angle right here on the pinion angle, as you can see. And I don't want it to go up like this, and I don't want it to fall down. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these ratchet straps. I hope they're strong enough. Get those and grab it from the axle and then just slowly ratchet it up like this, and at the same time jack it up from the front so the front doesn't fall, because the axle is heavier on the front side because of the pinion. And I figured I'd put this in the video just in case some of you guys are doing this by yourself, because I know there's a few of you guys who will be doing this by yourself. So some ratchet straps would be handy. Okay, so now I have the axle with the ratchet straps up there just so it doesn't fall to the sides, and then I have the main weight right here with a jack. And then the first thing I'm going to try to worry about is this little bolt or dowel pin, whatever you want to call it. It's essentially a bolt with no head on top and a nut on the bottom. And what I'm doing right now is we're going to get the nut a little bit loose, and then once that gets loose, or breaks free at least, just because it's been on there for a few years, the top's going to start to spin. So now I'm going to get some vice grips, grab the top super tight, and then slowly take off the bottom. But you always want to touch it. If it's really hot, you should stop and go to the other one. Or if they're both hot, just let them cool down and then try it again. Because if you keep going and they're hot, you're going to break them. Once you get those loose, those two, then that's when you come up here and then you cut this little bracket, which is what's holding it. But if you cut this right now and you don't take that off, then you're never going to get them apart. And same with vice versa. So I'm just doing that because that's the harder one. This one, you get an angle grinder right here and you cut them and it's a done deal. This one is it's coming out fairly slow. I'm not trying to rush it. I'm not letting it get hot. And I'm trying to do this one, but even with the vice grip, it's just spinning, you could see. So what I'm going to do is get the grinder and then flatten both sides just a little bit so the angle grinder can actually have something to bite, because right now it's just smooth and it's just kind of holding it with the pressure. So now it'll be with the pressure and it'll have two flat sides, almost like a bolt head, to hold it, so it should be a little easier. There's the finished result. Now it's flat on this side and flat on this side, so it should grab it a little bit better than with it just being smooth. Alright, so she's about to break loose, hopefully. There we go. So I also use this wire brush, and I highly recommend using this to clean the threads a little bit. But what I'm doing is give it like 5 turns and then touch it, make sure I could still touch it. If I can't touch it because it's too hot, then you stop, or you stop a little bit before then, and then you go to the next one and then you wait a little bit. So far it's taking me probably like 10 minutes. I'm in no rush to do this, so I don't really care right now, but I'd rather not break those bolts and have to find another bolt that's similar size or anything like that. I don't think they're that important. I think they're just to guide it so it's all together, because this and the bottom mount pretty much sandwiches it together. So I think it's just mainly to align it, but regardless, I don't want to break them, so I'm just kind of taking some caution with that. Okay, so now it's pretty much ready to put back together. Got the middle leaf out. This is the top leaf. Gonna put the bottom leaf back in here, and then pretty much do what we did but backwards. And yeah, now I just got to do it on this side. So same thing. This one is almost out. I'm just making sure it's not getting hot, so that's why I'm waiting on that to cool down. And then I'm going to cut this. I'm cutting towards the top, and then same with this one, towards the top, because that way you could just push it down and slip it in. I'm not cutting both sides. I know some people cut both sides, but I'm just cutting right here on the top, and then yeah, pushing it over and taking it out. Both the leaves are now out, so now it's pretty much just reinstall everything. Also want to mention, if you guys have tapered blocks like me, the taller side goes on the back over here. And if you guys don't have tapered blocks, I'd highly recommend getting some. And if you are planning to lower your truck with just lowering blocks, I would highly recommend them. I would recommend these if you go probably 3 inches or 4. Some people go more than that, which to me is too much, because then this part is extremely low to the ground. Mine is already low to the ground, and I only have 4-inch blocks. So if you do go any more than 3, I would recommend getting them tapered. 4, you for sure have to get it tapered. 3, you can probably still get away with it. 2 and 1-inch blocks, I would say you don't need it. I don't even know if they make them, but just because I know I get that question asked pretty frequently. So yeah, the tall side goes on the back and the shorter side goes on the front in order to bring the pinion angle and kind of point it down. I decided yesterday to call it a day and pick up the camera and continue this again today. That way you guys can see exactly what's going on, because I know a video in the dark doesn't look that well, and the light that I use, the bulb happened to go out. So yeah, my phone wouldn't have been enough. So yeah, I got this side on there. It's still really loose. I have all the bolts in the bottom fetch, and I got to tighten all those up. And then I got to throw this block in on this side, which is somewhere down there. So I got to throw that on, and then tighten everything up and pretty much put it on the ground and see how much lower it really got, because like I said, I really don't know how much of a drop the MONOLEAF gives you. What I got working with right now is I have this ratchet strap, which is hooked up here, and then it goes down around the frame, and it just hooked onto the axle right there. That's just the little knob where you hook up the plug for the sensor. I believe it's the ABS sensor. And the reason I had that is because the whole axle shifted that way a little bit since I took everything apart. And what I do is whenever, even if you install blocks or do anything like this, you always measure from the frame either to the brim, or you measure with something. But this is the easiest right here. So right now I'm sitting at about, I think, a little over 4 inches. So I think 4 inches and 1/8. And I have the same on this side. And before I had like a little under 4 inches on that side, and on this side I had about 4 1/4. So it could shift from about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little more. It does have a lot of wiggle room. I know a lot of people think, oh, just tighten these and it'll center itself, but it doesn't center itself. So yeah, if you do that wrong and it shifted over a little crooked, your tires can get worn out. But regardless, when you're installing blocks and doing aftermarket stuff like this, it's gonna affect the truck a little bit because it's not, you know, OEM. But I figured I'd just mention that. And the reason I'm doing this is because I don't have anyone else to help me right now, and I need to shift it over that side. And I tried picking it up right here and shifting it over, and I can't. So the ratchet strap's holding that in, and since it's holding it perfect right there, I'm gonna tighten it all up and then measure again before I do the final torquing down. Got everything somewhat tight, as tight as I could, but now my socket isn't deep enough, and this is a deep socket, and the bolts, I had already cut them previously, but now since I took a leaf out, I have to cut that much out because now that much more thread is sticking out. So last time I cut them out, like out here, and there's still thread showing, and the the 4 front ones got bent from me just driving and hitting everything. So I think this time I'm gonna bring them up a little more, maybe try to get them kind of flush to this shock piece, the bottom mount. So I'm just gonna get the angle grinder and cut all 4 of them and then tighten them some more. A very important tip that I forgot to mention is make sure that your nuts and washers are on there before you cut it, because if you cut it and then you try to put them on, you're just going to cross thread everything and it's just going to be a pain in the butt. So put those on, get those tight, and if you can't tighten them that much, then as long as you have them on before you cut, then you'll be set. It is so much lower. This is how low the truck used to be. When I had the bed on, I had an extra axle in the back, I had the rear bumper in the back, and I just had a bunch of scrap metal in the back. That's how low it was. And this is how low it is now without any of that. So I'm pretty content. I think now the next thing is going to be obviously putting the bed, but notching a little bit of the frame. So probably might do like a bolt-on kit and then just cut a little bit. I don't know. Still got to see about that, because in the middle it's already hitting out, so I might just have to cut a little bit out of that center support or just unbolt it out and make some custom mounts for the gas tank, because the gas tank is actually bolted up right here. So I could remove this. I would just have to make some new brackets for the gas tank, or maybe just try to move the gas tank up a little bit, because I could barely stick my foot under there. And yeah, trying to drive this so that this low is going to be quite fun actually. I want to say it dropped about 1.5 inches from my measurements. I did it really quick. I didn't really measure that much. I just measured from the axle to the frame, and now I measured it again, and it's about 1.5 inches lower. So if you guys want to do 4-inch blocks and the monoleaf, you'll probably get like a 5.5 inch drop. So that's pretty cool. The truck is extremely tight. This is what my face is seeing right here. I could see the whole roof of the truck. This is literally how I'm looking at the truck. Like on camera, I'm holding it down here like to get you guys some better angles and stuff, but from my point of view, this is what I'm seeing. And it's just insane. So that pretty much sums up the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it useful. And if you guys have any questions, put it down in the comment section and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. But the truck is turning out very nice. I do plan on eventually going a tiny bit lower. Yeah, just gonna take a few pictures because this thing looks really rad. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace out.